the end result.
I remember reading about the stock market crash before the Great Depression, and how there were wealthy bankers and businessmen jumping out of windows when they realized they screwed up and lost everything. Isn't it ironic how far we've come in 60 years in this country, that they now know how to fix that little economic problem? They just steal from the middle class, who doesn't have any say in it. Elections are a joke, to cover their asses, and it's business as usual. Now when the wealthy fuck up, the poor get to die for the mistakes. Isn't that a clever, tidy solution? As government agencies go, the FAA is often justifiably referred to as a tombstone agency, though they are hardly alone. The recent presidential puppet G.W. Bush and his cronies in their 8 years certainly reinforced for all of us that this criticism rings equally true for all of the government. Nothing changes unless there is a body count, unless it is in the interest of the wealthy sows at the government trough. In a government full of hypocrites from top to bottom, life is as cheap as their lies and their self-serving laws.
Present stock market crash, and the FAA now body counts.
I know I'm hardly the first one to decide I have had all I can stand. It has always been a myth that people have stopped dying for their freedom in this country, and it isn't limited to the blacks and poor immigrants. I know there have been countless before me, and there are sure to be as many after. But I also know that by not adding my body to the count, I ensure nothing will change. I choose to not keep looking over my shoulder at Big Brother while he strips my carcass. I choose not to ignore what is going on all around me. I choose not to pretend that business as usual won't continue. I have just had enough.
Mr. Stack, we all have choices, until someone like you takes them away from us by committing murder. You clearly made a choice, a decision that killed an innocent American, and destroyed a building. I'm still not sure as to why.
I can only hope that the numbers quickly get too big to be whitewashed and ignored, that the American zombies wake up and revolt. It will take nothing less. I would only hope that, by striking a nerve that stimulates the inevitable double standard, knee-jerk government reaction that results in more stupid draconian restrictions, people wake up and begin to see the pompous political thugs and their mindless minions for what they are. Sadly, though I spent my entire life trying to believe it wasn't so, but violence not only is the answer, it is the only answer. The cruel jokers, that the really big chunks of shit at the top, have known this all along, and have been laughing at and using this awareness against fools like me all along. I saw it written once that the definition of insanity is repeating the same process over and over, and expecting the outcome to suddenly be different. I am finally ready to stop this insanity. Well, Mr. Big Brother IRS man, let's try something different. Take my pound of flesh and sleep well. The communist creed, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. The capitalist creed, from each according to his gullibility, to each according to his greed.
Joe Stack, 1956 to 2010, note, his final words were published on the web, making this posthumous interview possible. Federal authorities are investigating Joe Stack's web posting, his final words shared with us via this interview. Joseph Stack, the pilot of a plane, used as a weapon in Austin, Texas, to destroy an office building that housed IRS offices. It is pretty clear to me that many things disturbed Mr. Stack. From his own words, he reached a disastrous position in his life, decided he just had enough, and made a decision. Mr. Stack's decision was to commit premeditated murder by trying to kill hundreds of Mr. Big Brother IRS men and women, Americans all. They are clearly not the problem. We the people, yes even Americans working for the IRS, are the solution. To quote President Ronald Reagan, "Government is not the solution to our problem, government is the problem." Mr. Vernon Hunter, the real hero, lost his life simply by being an American, working to support his family, and because he was employed by the IRS. The pressing question is how many other Americans have lost their lives over taxes? This is a pretty hard number to nail down. However, we do know that at least 25,000 American revolutionaries died, and approximately another 25,000 were seriously wounded or disabled. Thus, we can conclude that at least 50,002 Americans have shed their precious blood, even their lives, in one way or another because of taxes. As one American, the body count was already way too high before Mr. Stack's despicable act. No one can condone or agree with his actions, his choices, or his final decision. I hope we can all agree that in America, not another drop of blood should be shed over taxes. In closing, I'm calling on all Americans to perform 3 steps to help prevent further bloodshed and truly honor the precious sacrifices already given. The first step is for each and every American to learn the truth about the income tax at losthorizons.com. The second step is to demand both answers and actions from our elected officials to help America put the income tax monster back in its cage. The third and final step is to pray for the truth to enlighten every American, compelling them to seek full restoration of the rule of law per our Constitution. Especially pray for the safety of our fellow American brothers and sisters, working as government servants to preserve our republic in these troubled times.